It's 24 degrees Celsius in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maofe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo, marking a pleasant morning to you. 26 degrees here in Lagos. And of course, you know what time of day it is, 9 o'clock on the 8th day in the month of October 2025. Hey, we're counting down, aren't we?
I don't know what we're counting down to now, Ayo, but you can tell me, I mean, what it is you're counting down to.
We're definitely counting down. We're always counting down to something. For instance, we're counting down to Christmas, right? Is it too early?
Okay. I think it's a little too early. I mean, just yesterday, maybe we could have been counting down to the resumption of National Assembly members who were away for a major 8 weeks. Well, they're back now. Plenary resumed yesterday, and all eyes were on the National Assembly. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, joined her colleagues after a 6-month suspension. Well, we had a whole report on that for you, which we'll also ask you to go to our website to follow up with, because we, chronicled all that had happened, prior to her being suspended, the drama that ensued even while the suspension was on, and even the court cases. Right now, we know that the federal government is still prosecuting her. It's unclear just how that is going to end, but right now, it's good to see Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan back in the parliament, and I think we'll be looking forward to her contributions. Just while we thought that was the only thing we're going to be keeping our eyes on, there was also this controversy about the Minister of Science and Technology, Mr. Jeffrey Nnaji, who has now resigned after weeks, or well, shall I say, weeks of controversy following an alleged certificate forgery. Another media house, Premium Times Media, had done an investigation spanning a period of 2 years over allegations that the Minister of Science, erstwhile minister, he's now a former minister, the Minister of Science and Technology, had forged the certificate which he presented to not just the Senate now, but also to the security agencies. And it seemed like that had gone unchecked or unnoticed until this investigation started. When it started, the minister alleged that, it was, shall I say, political traducers who were after him. He even said that, the UNN, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, which he attended, had an arm of the People's Democratic Party, which seemed to be haunting him. But then, and they also blamed the Enugu state government. But the Enugu state government, 2 days ago, released a statement saying, look, we're not behind your problems. We ask you to carry your cross by yourself. But they also raised a number of other questions, very serious questions, which pointed to the fact that the minister indeed attended the university which he said he went to, but he did not seem to graduate, having failed certain courses. So there were a number of questions. These were the allegations they made in their own statement after urging him to carry his cross alone. It appears the minister has taken the advice, he's carrying his cross alone, and has now resigned following weeks of this controversy as to whether or not he did graduate from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. There were also questions around his NYSC certificate, the National Youth Service Corps, because at the time when he was said to have graduated, the numbers on his own certificate did not seem to tally, or will I say the letters, did not seem to tally with the sort of numbers issued around the same time of those who were said to have served in the year when he said he served. So a number of issues, Ayo. But yesterday we saw the minister finally throwing the towel, the president accepting his resignation. Is now unclear whether it's just going to end at that or whether the government of the day will also be, following this matter, because we're talking about forgery here. And forgery, the last time we checked, was a criminal offense. Ayo.
For me, and I think we mentioned this earlier between us, this raises a lot more questions, more institutional questions than we even realize. For instance, what are the steps towards confirmation of a minister. First of all, the minister is nominated by the president. The president nominates individuals to be appointed as ministers based on their qualifications and political affiliations. Now, these nominations, we know, has some constitutional considerations. They have to come from states, and that means that some states must have nominated these people for one reason or the other. And then it goes to the National Assembly, where the president submits the names to. Then they go through what they call, excuse me, at the National Assembly, the Senate in particular conducts what they call a thorough screening of the nominees. Of course, there may be questions on their qualifications and plans for the ministries and all those things. And from what I also know, we understand that sometimes security agencies or security operatives of the country are also involved in the process. So, and this is not the first time this is happening. How come we didn't notice this? How come no one noticed that, well, he went to the school, yes, his picture may be among those of graduating students, but how come we were not able to validate the authenticity or the true copies of the institutions that are claimed by ministerial nominees? For me, it's a lot more embarrassment for the nation, not even for the president, for the nation. Now, who is wondering, who is asking questions, for instance, Mokwe, whether this fellow was appointed or selected or nominated by a governor or by the state? No one is asking that question. Everyone is saying, oh, it's the president that nominated this person. In the meanwhile, this fellow is representing one state in the country. So we have this collective responsibility here. What happened to the process, starting with the Senate? Well, maybe even starting from the state. I don't know. It's a whole, issue, a whole load of issues. Cadres, levels of screening must have gone into this. If we are considering the person's capability, no doubt. Political affiliations, no problem. However, if we say that it has to be based on certain qualifications and there are paper evidences to the qualifications, then why should the claims be false? I think for me, Mokwe, those are the questions to ask here. We have a serious institutional problem here. And this that we're talking about, just one minister, is just an example of several. Who knows how many of those are happening in various states with the commissioner nominees and all?
Big questions, really, Ayo. And it's quite sad because it's not the first time we've seen it. We've seen ministers having to resign over alleged certificate forgery. Sometimes it's not even just the degrees now, it's the, what they call that now, the NYSC certificate. I still remember quite a number of really good ministers, prominent ministers who had to resign over the allegation that they forged their NYSC certificate. So another one bites the dust. In this case, the question is, will there be, further action on the part of government, considering how big an embarrassment this is, at least to deter, if because we've been leaving other ministers, maybe we need to set an example that this is totally unacceptable. It's not just enough for people to lose their positions. If people aspire to leadership, because he did contest to be governor of a state. Interestingly, part of the requirements is that you submit your educational qualifications. He did not submit a certificate from the University of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, from what we understand, he only submitted a secondary school certificate, which is allowed under the law. So the question is, why did he then go this far? If indeed, because this also has to be proven. It's already out in the public. If Premium Times did a very thorough investigation, it wasn't shoddy. 2 years, they said it took them. But let's listen to, Mr. Kiliu Majid, who is the editor-in-chief of Premium Times.
A whistleblower had sent us an email to our newsroom email to raise concern and to alert us to some discrepancies in the minister's claim. And the whistleblower appealed to us to investigate that he or she, we don't know the person, is confident that if we do diligent investigation, we will be able to uncover something shocking. And that we took up the challenge, and then we started working on it since 2023. The certificates in that submission, there are two of them that became of interest to us, the NYSC certificate and then his degree certificate from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. We then attached it to a letter, to the FOI letter to the NYSC, asking them to authenticate the certificate. The NYSC wrote back to say, no, we can't authenticate this certificate. We don't have any record of this certificate. So in 3 different correspondences, the university says it didn't issue the certificate. I mean, correspondence to us by the Vice Chancellor, a letter to us today by the registrar of the university, and then a letter to the Public Complaints Commission. The university says it didn't issue the certificate.
Well, that was from Musikiliu. The minister's aide also spoke, and I think in the interest of balance, we should also present what the side of the minister was.
He studied biochemistry, microbiology, what we refer to modern times as molecular biology and genetic engineering. It is not just a course that any person will wake up in the morning and decide to fill in a jam form to go and write. He was enrolled. Year 1, 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year. He graduated with his set. And the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, deemed him fit in character and learning to graduate him.
Where do you think the problem is?
The problem is very simple. We have a PDP arm in University of Nigeria, Nsukka. The immediate past acting vice chancellor, Professor Jam, was the returning officer for PDP in Kano East local government area. He was compensated with the acting vice chancellor's position.
So the minister imagined that this is politically motivated.
Wait, we have the PDP chapter of University of Nigeria, Nsukka, that the former chairman was the acting vice chancellor, Professor Jam, and the present chairman of PDP chapter is the politically anointed vice chancellor, Professor Simon Otwanya. That is the truth of the matter. We understand where they are shooting from. At the appropriate time, we'll look at the political side of the whole shenanigans.
I didn't make it up. You heard it yourself. Well, we're still going to be in the Southeast when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. Well, I did say that we're going to the Southeast, or we're staying in the Southeast, because the minister who resigned is from the Southeast of Nigeria. But we're looking at security in the Southeast of Nigeria. And one body that has been raising a number of issues around the security situation in the Southeast, particularly bordering around or bordering on human rights, is Amnesty International. They are asking Nigerian authorities to investigate human rights violations in the Southeast region. We're being joined this morning by the country director of Amnesty International here in Nigeria to shed light on some of the findings on of the investigation and the report which they have just recently issued. Good morning, Mr. Issa Sanusi. Thank you for joining us this morning. We know that you're still very much, maybe I should not be revealing your location now. It's going to be totally up to you. But this is a report that you have now finally come up with, asking Nigerian authorities to investigate human rights violations around security in the Southeast. What has led to this investigation and informed this report?
Well, we have been, thank you so much for having me. So we have been investigating the situation in the Southeast since August 2015. And what we are discovering is disturbing, is quite big. And we believe that these things should not be ignored. We believe that so many people who are missing from their families, so many people have disappeared, so many people have been killed, and so many people have been subjected to torture and ill treatment. And we believe that in order to have peace, in order to ensure sanity and prosperity in that region, all these human rights violations must be addressed. And the perpetrators, that is our emphasis again, the perpetrators of these atrocities must be brought to justice through fair trial. And that is why we are again raising the issue of this investigation, and we are expanding it, and more families are coming forward to us saying that we have not seen our loved one for many years. He was arrested one day and he disappeared. We have people who told us that their loved ones were picked from their homes and killed, and nothing happened. And these things mostly happen in smaller communities where everyone knows everyone. And that is why we are concerned. For us to have sustainable, long-term, permanent peace, these injustices must be addressed.
Your report is very telling. The report is titled, "A Decade of Impunity, Attacks and Unlawful Killings in Southeast Nigeria." In it, you say that at least 1,844 people lost their lives or were killed between January 2021 and June 2023. Were you to expand the period, from 2015 when you say your investigation actually started, how much more people would we be looking at here?
Well, I remember that in 2016, when we released our report, we have made it a mention of the fact that 150 people were killed. That is between 2015 and 2016. And again, in 2020 and 2021, we have also discovered another killing of over 150 people. So if you add that, 300, and that is our own verification, because so many people have been killed and it is very difficult to document. We only mention the death that we are able to document. Therefore, you just imagine the number of people that might have been killed since August 2015 in that region. And we believe that this is something very serious and requires the urgent attention of Nigerian government. There is no way we can have peace if so many people have been living with injustice and without a means of getting redress. And that is the duty of the government, to institute means through which people can get redress for injustices they have experienced. And so many people are missing. And we are asking the Nigerian government to establish a register, a neutral register, respectable center where people who have their loved ones missing can come forward, give the authorities details, so that a search can start, at least to show the people that they are human beings and they are treated with respect and dignity. And we have also been saying that there are so many people that have been abducted over the alleged so-called connection with IPOB or something like that. And some of them are held in detention for over 5, 6, 7 years. And there was no information about them. Their families have been left in the dark. These are atrocities. This is injustice. And we are saying that this has to stop. And that is why we are bringing attention again to this region, so that the Nigerian government can do the right thing at the right time.
So if I understand you clearly, I'm looking at a summary of your press release now. You mentioned 300 and you made 300 people killed within a certain period. Some of them over a period, 150 in a period of 12 months, another 150 in a period of 12 months, making 300. And you said if you were to expand that, you can only wonder what the number is. But I'm looking at what your press release says, and it says that the persistent failure of government to address the security crisis in the country's southeast region has created a free-for-all reign of impunity in which numerous state and non-state actors have committed serious human rights violations and killed at least 1,844 people between January 2021 and June 2023. Are you going back on these figures, or do you still stand by them?
Yeah, we stand by these figures. In fact, the figures I was mentioning at the beginning were before these ones. So you add the previous ones that I mentioned to these ones, and that is what will give you the total sum of the number of people that were killed. This research started in 2022, toward the end of 2022, and it continued up to the end of 2024. And that is the outcome of what we have gathered. we believe that the number of people killed is much higher than what we have. But because it's very difficult to get documentation or accurate information about some, and some were just missing actually. So that is why it is very difficult to say exactly the number of people that have been killed so far.
It's also very difficult because it would seem that you have lumped all the deaths to state and non-state actors. You have not differentiated those who were killed by state actors and those killed by non-state actors. And by non-state actors, are you referring also to unknown gunmen, or you're referring to non-state actors who might be state actors but have not been confirmed officially, such as vigilante groups, for instance?
Well, we don't categorize death, especially in this kind of situations, because our priority, we want to bring the right attention to the right issue, first of all. The fact that someone has been killed, whether it is by the state actors or non-state actors, is a crime. That is the priority for now. And the duty of sorting out who did what, I think that belongs to the government, and it is their responsibility to carry the investigation to that level. So therefore, what we are doing, we are not a government. We are just a movement of people passionate about human rights. So what we are doing is giving the Nigerian authorities the right information that would help them to start looking at these issues in a very impartial, transparent, and effective way. And that is why we are doing this. We believe that the government has the resources, it has the authority, it has the power. So it has the duty to take this investigation to the lowest level or to the highest level of investigation and detail. And we believe that any atrocity, whether by a state actor or non-state actor, is a crime, and we have to call it that.
So can I ask, who precisely is this report directed at? Because some of these actors whom you have mentioned here, I'm looking at this part where you talk about Ebube Agu, for instance. You say gunmen have turned some, beg your pardon. The report reveals how the state-backed Ebube Agu paramilitary force established by the Southeast governors on 11th April 2021 has been used as a tool to harass and intimidate opponents and critics of the state government. It's also responsible for arbitrary arrest and detention, torture, extrajudicial executions, enforced disappearances, and destruction of homes. So I'm a little curious as to how do you want this report to be treated? Do you want a, looking for the word now, a committee of federal and, state forces to come together, or do you think that state governments can also take action on their own, given the fact that some of the paramilitary apparatus that they have also enabled are mentioned in these allegations that you have made?
Well, if you look at the report, we have a section which we call recommendations. The recommendations started from the highest level, which is the president or the government of Nigeria. We have also have recommendations for the international community. We have recommendations for the Nigerian government, federal government. We also have recommendation for the states, the 5 states in the Southeast. We also have recommendations for the United Nations and other international agencies. So the report is directed at so many stakeholders that have responsibility. As you mentioned, Ebube Agu is solely controlled by state government, and it has been committing a lot of atrocities. It is being used to undermine people's freedom and attack political enemies. And we believe that the state governments that establish them have the responsibility to make sure that they are held to account. And our recommendations on them are directed at those state governments. Therefore, the report is directed at everyone who has responsibility, and it has to start from Nigerian government down to everyone who is affected. We also have calls for all those taking arms and killing people unlawfully. We told them that they have to stop, and it is the duty of the government to help to hold them to account effectively, fairly, and transparently. Therefore, this report is an all-encompassing document that is going to help the government, is going to help everyone, even the communities in the Southeast, to sit down and say, look, we have to address this problem. Who is responsible of what, and what are we supposed to do to move forward? Who is missing? What happened? How did he got missing? And how are we going to ensure justice and make sure that those who have been missing have been reunited with their families? So the report has given task or has given recommendations to everyone. And I hope that those recommendations are directed at, will have time to read it and take the right action at the right time before it's too late.
My colleague Ayo has questions for you. Ayo.
Thank you, Mokwe. Having looked at your report for a bit, one question that I've asked in my mind over and over again is, it is directed at the state, at Nigeria, and I have seen in your response, can you hear me? Mr. Sanusi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Awesome. So I've looked at the report, and the first question on my mind is, it seems it is directed to the federal government. Is there a sense of saying that the states, the various state governments, particularly in the Southeast, do not have a responsibility or any form of indictment in this matter of human rights issues that your report finds?
Well, if you look at the report, just go to the last pages of the report. You will see copies of letters that we have sent to the 5 governors of the Southeast region. All the 5 states, we have sent them letters, giving them details of our findings and asking them to do the right thing. And we have made some recommendations to them. And we have also asked them some questions to get their input so that we can have better understanding of what is going on. Unfortunately, of all the 5 states in the Southeast, the only state that responded to us was Anambra State. And even Anambra State will not follow up to give us the details we wanted. Therefore, this report is not only directed at the federal government. It is also putting a lot of direction, a lot of information, a lot of questions, a lot of responsibility to the state governments. And we believe that that point is very clear in the report, that the state governments have a responsibility, particularly when we mention Ebube Agu and many other issues that have to be addressed so that justice will be done to victims of human rights violation in the region.
Is there a way, Mr. Sanusi, that the human rights violations could have been avoided? Perhaps there is a sense where it sounds like the issues that occasioned the violations could have been avoided. What are the issues you found, particularly that gave rise to the Eastern Security Network, the IPOBs of this world? What are the issues that you found? Maybe those could have helped to avert some of the issues that occasioned the violations that you discovered.
Well, we have been studying conflicts in Nigeria for so long. And what we realize is that whenever there is a security issue, the mistake Nigerian government always does is to believe that force, violent force or lawful force is the best response to it. And that is where the mistakes always happen. I don't want to take you back to just create a context to what happened to Boko Haram, the initial crackdown, and how it became the monster it has become. So that approach to conflicts is really a very big mistake. And we believe that is one of the reasons why. You remember the agitations for Biafra started around 2015. And early 2015, towards August, it got out of hand, and it started getting out of hand up to the end of 2015. And what was going on at that time was violent crackdown. Violent crackdown, people who came out to protest peacefully were killed wantonly and without accountability. And that set the region to where it is today. We are not saying that that is the only reason. There are so many factors. We already have crime. We have so many other issues, are going on, armed robbery, cult groups, so many things existing. And they also got encouragement from what is going on. Therefore, we believe that the reason these things always get out of hand is that we always believe that the best way to deal with these issues is to, first of all, crack down violently, kill people, raise homes, and arrest people arbitrarily, hold them in detention indefinitely. We believe that is the system. Unfortunately, that is what is always causing the problem.
Okay.
And
All
that
right.
is the cause of the problem in the Southeast.
Well, there are so many issues to look at in that regard, but can you quickly speak to what you think the team put together by the IGP to investigate, or rather to affirm or refute some of the issues you raised in your report? That team put together, the initiative of the IGP, do you see it going anywhere?
Well, we commended the IG for that initiative. Any attempt to do accountability is highly welcomed by Amnesty International. But we don't know the details of what the committee is going to do. We don't know whether it is going to make its findings public. We don't know whether it is going to have sittings where everything will be done openly and transparently. We believe that every investigation has standards. We all know the standards, international standards for effective and credible investigation. And but we don't know the details of that committee. But it's a commendable effort because accountability is very scarce in Nigeria. And if anybody makes move, even if it is just for the sake of making the move, is a very welcome development. But we encourage the team established by the IG to do the right thing, to do the right work, to do the accountability, and produce something that will have credibility to ensure justice for the victims. And we look forward to hearing about what they are doing. But so far, we don't know the details of what they are doing, and we hope they will make public what is the next step in their work.
How about those, as you call them, non-state actors themselves? We've heard allegations, for instance, the sit-at-home that was rampant back in time. I don't know how effective it still is now. Allegations, even from people who live in the Southeast, some of them reach out to let us know that some of the issues that they're having, some of these deaths, was occasioned by non-state actors themselves. How do you think we can avert such a scenario going forward?
Well, the non-state actors, if you in the report, we have also directed some words toward them, and we are telling them that what they are doing is a crime, and we are telling them they must be held to account. We are saying that what they are doing is a crime under Nigerian and international law, and they have to stop. And we believe that the non-state actors committed a lot of atrocities. They assassinated many people, they killed many people, they abducted many people, and they must be held to account. And we believe that they have to stop what they are doing because they are causing harm to so many families, to their own communities, to their own region. And they have to stop because there is no way you can have prosperity without peace. And we believe that I hope they will listen to us, and they have to listen and make sure that these killings, these abductions have to stop, and accountability has to start immediately.
Well, we have to thank you very much for your time and all the work that you've been doing, because it is not just something that just government can do, and here's perhaps also a call on the state governments in the Southeast in particular to see what needs to be done to expedite development in the region. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Issa Sunisi is Country Director, Amnesty International Nigeria. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Ayo.
Okay. So, Markwe, it's back to you.
Thank you, Ayo. Well, one major news item which we left off our opening list was the fact that the former INEC chairman, he's now former, I was going to say INEC chairman, but he is now former INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, stepped down from office yesterday, even though he still had a few more days to go. He handed over to the most senior INEC commissioner, Mrs. May Agbamuchimbu, who is now acting INEC commissioner. We're taking a look at how he's fared in office after a decade of service. Joining us to take a look at the time of Mr. Mahmoud Yakubu's time in office, we have two gentlemen here. Mr. Peter Ame joins us as the National Secretary of the CUPP and also the former National Chairman of IPAC. It's good to see you in our studios.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. And we also have Mr. Jacob Pele. Thank you so much for joining us. He's the founder of TAP Africa.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, a decade of service to Nigeria. We saw him, you know, hand over very graciously. We understand that it seemed to have taken members of staff of INEC by a little surprise. He wasn't supposed to have left just yet, but it seems he's like what he needs to do, he's done. And it's time for him to take his leave. How would you describe his exit? Let me start with you, Mr. Epele.
Well, Mahmoud is gone. There's never a vacuum in leadership, and somebody May has to step in as acting chairman of the commission. Mahmoud will be remembered for a lot of things, the good, the bad, the ugly. One of the things that I would give him is a bit of the reorganization of INEC and the introduction of digitalization, you know, trying to digitalize the electoral system. I think he did some good job in terms of structure, in terms of specifically inclusivity. I don't think any INEC chairman did anything close to achieving inclusivity like Mahmoud. Here is his low, the lowest thing that he did. The greatest impact that will haunt him is how he handled the 2023 election. I don't think he did absolutely well. I don't think they were able to fulfill the promises that they made, you know. So we saw him over-promising and underperforming. And so I think as he goes back maybe to the university to teach or private business or whatever, the greatest aspect of his leadership that would not sit down well with him, not only him, but the general public, is how he handled 2023. I think he didn't do a good job. And that's why I said more that you are known for two things, either the problem you created or the problem you solved. You know, and in that case, in that manner, he solved a lot of problems, but also created a lot of problems. So whoever is stepping in now, which I don't think will be May. May is too straight. To be honest with you, I know her. She's too straight for even the organization she's working for. And I don't think the politicians want to risk retaining her as INEC chairman. And I'm waiting to say I may be wrong, you know.
Well, the papers are already awash. A number of them have names, already pushing forth names, and they are speculating that the president will be appointing a new INEC commissioner in the next 1 week. But
a new INEC chairman.
Beg your pardon, a new INEC chairman. I don't know why I'm saying commissioner. But, you know, let me come to Mr. Peter Ame, because I was going to ask you, Mr. Pele, as to whether or not, you know, if you were going to score you know,
Mahmoud?
100%.
No,
over 100%. What will be the score?
Let's take 10.
What will be the score he'll get?
4 over 10.
Over 100.
4 over, okay.
That's
so
40%.
40%. Yes.
That'll be 40%. That's pretty low.
Well, you know, I mean, all of us in leadership have low and highs, you know, and all that. But what you do in leadership determines what the public will hold you accountable for. This is my own personal opinion. Somebody else may have a different opinion. If I'm in the classroom marking his paper, he'll get 40% from me.
All right. Well, fair enough, because you already said the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm just wondering if Mr. Peter Ame will be as miserly or maybe a little more generous with marks. Will you be?
No, it's not about being generous. It's about the facts. If we lay them bare to the table and put it before the Nigerian people, I thought he would have been the generous one. You know, the civil society were very fond of Mahmoud and some of his decisions. For me, I think Mahmoud...
Politicians were not?
No, the opposition suffered under Mahmoud. Mahmoud wasn't even accommodated when it comes to opposition or multi-party democracy. All he wanted was to crush it. The high adresser was much. Look, Mahmoud spent 10 years at the commission. Leaving that place,
longest chairman.
Leaving that place, you'd have seen the lowest of the junior staff and all the staff celebrating. You know, what you see was an elitist escort to protect him from the anger that was in the commission. The high-handedness was much. There wasn't any interaction, any essence to build capacity for staff. There wasn't any, you know, interest in trying to uplift the spirit of the commission. And when you talk about the commission is independent National Electoral Commission. Primary duty is to undertake, to conduct and organize election. And for those periods when Mahmoud was in office, there was this issue of corruption, this mismanagement of our electoral cycles, and the legitimacy that comes with the election was backslided. It was a disastrous period for us. If you look at the Edo State election, you discover that there were 2 result sheets under Mahmoud. And they said they're not printing the result in Nigeria. Is that why the problem has now become that the fact that politicians now, you know, get insight into what the INEC will do on election day? Mahmoud 2023, the conduct of 2023 election is a bitter taste in our mouth, in everybody's mouth. And that would be what he will be remembered for. And how he handled that election, the promises that he made, and how, the end of the day, those promises were not kept. And the worst of it is that when you run an institution that's supposed to be an institution that will be respected when it comes to accountability and transparency, Mahmoud was supposed to now say, oh, this had happened. I made promises that elections will be transmitted, from ECA will be done through the IRF portal and all the rest of it, but we failed, maybe because of the glitch that you claim happened. The glitch, we do not know how it was manipulated, whether it was deliberately manipulated, which is what I suspect. You should have set up an independent body, an investigative independent body, to come and look at the issues and look at this and report to Nigerians whether these were not human harm that have, you know, decided that our elections should not follow the dictate of our people's aspirations and interests. So for me, Mahmoud's tenure damaged the multi-party democracy we have, where he pushed and invested so much energy in Section 225A to undermine. Look, where are the parties speaking? They have weakened the party structure. He has weakened everything that has to do with them. Mahmoud turned the essence of our multi-party democratic system that is captured under Section 221 to 2210 into a laughing stock.
How did he do that? I mean, I know that, yes, INEC also has regulatory oversight over political parties, but how did he do that?
You see the problem. When we see Ganifa and me, Balarabe Musa, when they went to court to try to challenge that Section 40, Section 40 of the Constitution allows for freedom of association and freedom of movement. And freedom of association, whether you want to belong to a trade union, political party, or any association that protects that interest. But the fact that that Section 225A was made a foundation of his policy, you know, a foundation of his policy, you know, that when parties could be... Look,
what does it say? And
no, Section 225A is about the restriction of political parties. And then you look at what it did with, look, the appointment of INEC chairman is captured under our constitution. And it has, for me, I don't know, I believe that there's a hand of government in its removal. I believe that. Because I know the way he left, and with the rumor we're hearing before now, how he left the office. And for me, I think
how he left, how do you mean? Because from what we understand, he decided to step down, and the president, you know, wished him well, and even gave him A national honor.
There was a report. Why are you giving national honor to a man who conducted the election? That is why we are talking about how to make sure that INEC is removed from the appointing authority of the president. Because why are you giving national honor when he's leaving on the day?
But what did you say you heard?
You know, perception. Perception is very clear. It's not what I read. We read it. That the INEC chairman will be forced to leave a month before his election. It was on all the papers. And he didn't come out to say anything. And he went on to make promotion 1 month to his end of his tenure. And we woke up yesterday and he's leaving. And the next thing we saw, there's an acting person. And you know that there's a state council of state meeting already slated to hold either on Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday.
It's holding tomorrow.
Tomorrow, to hold tomorrow. So that council of state, everybody knows that there may be a new person will be appointed. But the president should have waited to allow that thing that insulates INEC from external interference in section 158 subsection section 1 to allow it to finish his tenure. Because I do not even like the idea that a man is leaving. Look, the INEC is supposed to self-regulate. It self-regulates as an independent institution. I do not like the idea that INEC will be leaving and be writing a letter of leaving office to the president. It should be able to self-regulate by the commission, because the commission is a judicial-making authority where they can sit in the commission and then decide what to do. If they are sat in their regular commission meeting and they are told the members of the commission, they form 12 of them, and say, look, I'm leaving, this is my deal. They will communicate the position to the public, and the president continues from there. So we need to have a truly independent institution that conducts our elections, because for what we have today, it's quasi. It's not a democratic institution. It's not an independent institution as is stated in the Constitution. And we must get that very clear.
So if I get you correctly now, you as a member of a political party and also as a politician who has been in IPAC and also, yes.
I was two-time national secretary of IPAC, two-time national chairman, so I was there for quite a while.
So it means that you saw nothing good in his tenure?
The only thing that would have been good, he ended up undermining it, which is the introduction of technology. So why will I make sure to say it's good? Because it never performed the purpose of which it was set out to perform. Because you set up the technology to be able to arrest that manipulative tendencies of people in power to go to collation center and rewrite our results and manipulate the from ECA to suit the interest of those in authority. What you should have done was, what he wanted to do with the introduction of technology was to allow elections to end at each of the polling units, because accreditation is done in the polling unit. Voters vote in the polling unit, vote are counted in the polling unit. So elections actually are conducted in the polling unit. So if you now upload this thing with a PDF format using the IRF form data, like what you can see verify OBI result today that it was manipulated because of the data of the papers. So if you had stepped up and look at that these elections were not being conducted in line with the promises he has made to Nigerians, because he holds Nigerians. It's not about the appointing authority. It's not about the interest of those in power. It's about the interest of our collective good. So if he has seen that that was not working, I think he had power to be able to review the election. And he will refuse to review that and went ahead to announce an election that we know was not in the line with of his own promises to Nigerians.
You want to quickly say something to that before I go to Ayo?
Yeah, so you did say something twice, saying that, he decided to leave. And I'm sort of like lost in it, because I'm asking myself, was it a choice to leave or a force for him to leave? I believe that the latter is the case. He was forced out of office. Yes, he was forced out of office because they wanted to prepare the process and the person that they want to take over INEC. Peter is absolutely correct. One of the things that I see in the 10 years of Mahmoud leadership was a missed opportunities. He missed the opportunities to carry out what would have been the best election in the country after June 12. He missed the opportunity of truly reorganizing INEC and making INEC independent. He missed the opportunity of being himself as independent umpire than a dependent political stooge. Period.
Ayo, any questions?
Definitely, Mawpe. I have two questions for the gentleman, so let me begin with this one. Gentlemen, we have had since 1999, this is the third INEC chairman that is outgoing. We had Professor Maurice Iwu, we had Professor Tahiru Jega, and we have had Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. So let me begin with you, Mr. Amin. In your opinion, between 1999 and over the past 10 years, have we made progress? Mr. Ahmed, that's for you.
I wouldn't deny the fact that the introduction of the card reader under the Jega made some little of progress. But the problem is that why do I not want to score that we've made progress? Every time we try to we take one step forward, we take another 50 steps backward. Under the card reader introduction for the 2015 election, the whole northern state were using, instead of the southern state were using card reader, the northern state were using incident form, and that undermined the credibility of the election. We got into Mahmoud Yakubu's tenure, where he now brought up the IRF and all the beavers and all the necessary gadgets that would have always give some level of credibility to our election. Because winning election comes with, it's not just about mandate, it's about legitimacy. When that legitimacy is not there, it's like a stolen mango. You always have
what
this
I
thing in
hear
your
from
hand.
you, Mr.
So we need to
Just
have
one
a
second, if
situation
you can hear
where
me.
these things will really represent the true purpose of which they were introduced.
Is whether or not. So the question I'm asking
sincerely, the progress is very dim. I don't think we've made progress.
Okay. It's the execution of the initiatives, of the innovation you are talking about now, not the innovation itself. So let me come to you, Mr. Pele. Do you think we have made progress since 1999 and over the past 10 years of Professor Yakubu?
There's some element of progress, and I'm going to be a bit, sound a bit personal because it concerns me. I think one noticeable progress that we have made was the true introduction of inclusivity. Yes, the execution has some problem, but there is a deliberate effort, and that is one tick off that I will give Mahmoud. He had a genuine intention to introduce inclusivity in the electoral process, and he also worked on the framework. However, there was a disconnect between all that he did and his men in the field, who are to execute and introduce
that's your last statement.
We didn't
My
have
apologies.
that.
Yeah, Mr. Pele.
So in
just
that
one second,
area
Mr. Pele. Mr. Pele, just 1 second. The last statement that you made, the men on the field, leads me to the next question, my second question, which is, and all of you, both of you gentlemen and the entire electoral community have spoken about the fact that INEC does not have total control over the entire gamut of our electoral community. The INEC doesn't control security. INEC doesn't have any power at all over any political party other than to proscribe them or whatever it is. And even in some cases, there are political parties that undermine the process that INEC is involved in. So do you think, in your judgment, gentlemen, of what Professor Yakubu or any INEC chairman will be able to achieve, that will factor in the political considerations, or rather the other difficult circumstances under which any INEC chairman must operate, particularly the indices or parameters that he does not have control over? That's, you go first, Mr. Pele.
Look, this is the space that I've been around for. Maybe I'm not as old as Peter, my friend, but however, the independence of an institution depends on the person that is leading that institution. Yes, there may be variables, but he had the electoral act or laws on his side. There were also opportunities for INEC to create her own regulation in line with the laws. So you cannot tell me that he will claim that he wasn't so independent, although the greatest problem is tracing his source and the source of any INEC chairman. And that's the president going to appoint them. That president will always appoint based on his political interest. That's what makes it look like it's not as independent as should be. However, the onus is on the person who takes over that mantle of leadership. You can decide to be independent. You can decide not to be independent. That means you want to serve your master. So INEC today, as it is, does not look to me an independent institution. Two, INEC today, as it is over bloated. There's too much that they are doing. There's too much that they have going for them, and they need to dismantle some aspects of INEC. There's too much political interest where you have politicians appointing national commissioners and insisting that what are you talking about? Card-carrying party loyalists are appointed as INEC national commissioners. What do you expect?
Some people are saying maybe that's not a bad thing at all, that maybe we should actually have card-carrying members within INEC and that they should be a part of the commission.
There's no way that person will play a fair umpire. It's not possible.
No, but that every political party should be represented.
That's not how.
You think it's a recipe? No,
that's not how AMBs are operating.
But that's what is obtainable in the United States. Sincerely, if you look at the United States election, there's no National Electoral Commission anywhere. It is at this county level that you have maybe 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans who constitute the electoral body. For me, a lot of reasons why I know INEC is not independent is even when the commission of the building for the new building was done, it was done by the president. Funds were provided by the FCT, and you have to look at Section 81, so Section 2, that say INEC shall draw its funds from consolidated revenue from non-direct light charge.
Okay, I don't want to ask you about independence. I want to ask you about the recommendation that IPAC has made, which is that the president should not appoint the new INEC chairman. It doesn't appear that that is going to happen this time around. Or is it possible that it can happen this time around?
I don't think the current president will want to do it. I do not see him doing it. A lot of the presidents have missed that opportunity, and they are regretting. And I also do. He will join the league of those who regret after office. So the clear fact remains that we have Justice Iwe Electoral Reform Panel of 2008 that gave guidelines for how INEC should operate and why INEC should be unbundled. The INEC is overburdened with so much responsibility. He talked about INEC not having power over political party. Well, Mahmoud Yakubu have left political parties more fractured. There are more political parties in crisis under his leadership than any time in the history.
We're totally out of time. I wish we had a little more time, but sadly we are out of time. I have to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Peter Ame is the National Secretary of the CUPP and the former National Chairman of IPAC, and we also had Mr. Jeke Pele, who is the founder of TAF Africa. Well, that's where we'll wrap up Sunrise Daily this beautiful Wednesday morning. Thank you for watching. I'm Maupe Oguyesef.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Business Morning is on the hour. Enjoy your job today.